So welcome to the next video in which we will be starting with the crowd operations. So in this video, I am going to show how we can create an entry inside the database using Android applications. Before going further, what we have created till now is that this is our main activity file. Inside this, we have called our database manager, a kind of service layer I would say, in which we have passed the reference or context of this main activity only. In the database manager, we have created a open and closure of the database connection using database helper get writable database or database helper.close. After this, we have seen that how we are interacting with the database using employee table. We have created ID, name, age, and employee database, in which we are creating a table, create table employee, where ID and other stuffs are provided here. We have provided all the details in the super method of this database helper, and using the sqlite, which is the interface, which is interface extension, and we have called this execute SQL, and also in this on upgrade we have called execute SQL. So first time it will create a table, otherwise it will drop the schema and create a new table using this SQLite helper. So now we are going to do a creation of entry inside the database. For that, we require database manager. Inside the database manager, we will be providing an insert method using the service layer, and that service layer only will be called inside the main activity. So I would say database manager dot insert method I will create. So I'll say insert, and I'll be providing the details of employee. For providing the details of employee, let's create a POJO. So I would say a class, and this class will be employee. So this is an employee class. If you go to the database helper, you will find employee class is there, ID, name, and age is there. So I will say private integer ID, private string name, and private integer age is there. If you select alt and insert, you will find the other methods also which can be called here. So I will provide constructor using these three details also, but ID is by default primary key, so we don't require this. So I'll remove this ID part. Also, we can create default constructor also. So then again alt insert. Some people will find insert combined with other key, so you should go with function alt and insert. So now we'll go with the default constructor. So instead I will go with default constructor. Also, we will provide certain getters and setter using function alt insert, or even alt insert if you are not having function in that. I'll create all the three setters and getters, and also I'll provide a toString method inside this. So I will write function insert, function alt insert for toString method using all the three parameters. So this is how we have created an employee class with very easy way using alt insert. So now I'm going to call this employee object. So I'll write employee emp equals new employee, and in this employee I will be passing ID. Instead of ID, let's provide the other parameters which are available. So if you see here, using this employee, we can provide details like, first thing, let's provide Sumit as a name. Second thing, let's provide age as 27. So this is a new employee object. I will be passing this employee object here in the insert method. Also, what we can do is that open the connection and can close the connection for the database manager. For this database manager, if I'm going to execute any kind of operation, I would write database manager dot open, which we have already written previously, and also database manager dot close. If you see, this is not written, so I'll write create method inside that database manager, and in this database manager I will write queries to insert into the database. So I will simply say that context values, I'll call context values, content values. So I'll use content values, and I will simply create new content values, and this content values I'll provide the details which I need to put it here. So I'll simply say content values dot put Also this I will be calling 2 times. So what I need to put, those 2 values, I need to put employee name and age. So I will simply write database helper dot employee name, database helper dot employee age. So I will say database helper dot employee name and also database helper dot employee age. What I will pass here is the object I created, employee, and if you see I provided here only employee, but I provided name and age as Sumit and 27. So I'll say employee name as emp dot get age and also emp dot get age will be passed here, rather here, and employee dot get name. So these 2 I provided. I will do a return of, it will return me a long when I will provide insertion into database. So I'll say id equals database, I'm calling this database helper, SQL database. So I will call database helper database dot insert inside the database, and simply the table is database helper only dot emp table. In this table just provide the context value. So it will ask me to provide one more thing. I think if I see I need to provide one more thing, rather than I'll provide it null here, because I think that is the factor which is asking for providing. So here I will create the values and provide the id here. Also I will return this id as a reference that it has been created, id I would say. So this id will be returned in place of void, I will say long will be returned from here. Also what we can do is refactor. We can just cut out this part and directly return it here, because this will be returning id only. So instead of storing in this id, I will directly return it from here. So also do a refactor here also, that what I am doing is creating an employee object and passing it here. Rather I will directly call this part and cut out from here and pass it here. So inside this database connection will be called. So how we'll get to know that whether they are created or not? So let's, this is insert is returning us a long, so let's store the long part. So I will say long, I will say id equals this, and after this I will do printing of that. So I'll go for log dot b, and inside this I will pass the id created for employee is, and I will say this id which is created, so say id. So this is saying id is created long as this, I am passing it at this dot to string. Now this will be passed here. So this is saying logging tag can be more than, in fact it was 31. So let me reduce this part and remove this part. So now logging is fine. So now let me run this application as of now, just to see whether the log is printing or not. So let me start it. So this Gradle build is starting. It is started, but it is saying we need to go with the changing of version of this Google part. So let me open the Gradle module. In the Gradle module, here in the place of 1.10.0, let me provide 1.8.0. So now let's run this again. So my emulator will start here. Gradle build is currently running. Emulator will take a little bit of time when you are starting it for the first time after the Gradle build. So this I am starting similar to the mobile phone. It will open, and once it will open, then it will call the Android application. So let's go to the main part. So this has started. So now let's see what was the log which we have created. The ID created is, so let me search this in the logs. So the ID created is coming here, as you can see, is 1. So ID created is 2 times I've called. Let's do one thing. Let me create few more times. So I will call it here, and let's go with Steve with age of 35, then age of, make it 25 of John. Let's go with Suraj with an age of 31, and let's go with age of 35 of Sharik. So these are the 4 details which I want to insert, and I will say ID2, ID3, ID4. Here also ID2, ID3 and ID4. Save it, relaunch it, and once I do a relaunch, let's clear this as of now. Gradle build is running. Let me expand this a little bit more. So you can see ID created is 3. Because why it is 3? Because earlier we have already created 1 and 2. So 3 is created, 4 is created, 5 and 6. These all are 4 entries which has been created in the database. So this is how we have inserted the details in the database using our insert statement using database manager. And once we have done the insert, it is calling the database. It is nothing but SQLite database, and it is doing the insert in the employee table using employee name and employee age. So this was about the CRUD operation, and the first part is the create. And in the coming slide, we will see the read, update and delete part also. Thank you all for watching the video.